We've been walking around Washington, D.C. for a few days now, and it was neater than we expected. Marching up to see our nation's capital was awesome. After that, we met some pretty cool scouts from all across the country. We talked about all the sights around us and which ones we were going to check out next. A bunch of us went up to the Lincoln Memorial. Seeing the statue of Abraham Lincoln made us all think about how lucky we are being an American. Seeing the White House was kind of overwhelming. Not only is it the home of our president, but it's been the home of nearly every president we've ever had. How's this for a place to just take it easy? Standing on the edge of the Potomac under a shade tree, overlooking the historic Jefferson Memorial. It was so nice, we kind of hated to go. Meanwhile, back at Fort A.P. Hill, a lot of groundwork was being laid by a totally dedicated staff. Talk about going the extra mile. They all wanted character counts, be prepared for the 21st century to be the best Jamboree ever. Things were kind of quiet as we rolled through the gates of Fort A.P. Hill. After all that sightseeing, we were all pretty tired. Our singing sounded most noticeably pathetic. It was so bad that some scouts woke up and thought it was just a little lame. Seeing other scouts hanging around made us anxious to get to our own campsite. Finally, we were there. This really got us pumped up, so we piled out of our bus. Our scoutmaster made us really hustle to get our stuff out. Have you ever seen anybody put up a tent this fast? Hey, when you're at a jamboree, why waste any time? By the way, these accommodations turned out great. Not only did we get to put it up ourselves, but we got to do our own decorating. Each tent was naturally air-conditioned and had an awesome view. Next, it was time to put in some major effort into something we were all pretty proud of. And lashing these wooden posts was the first step in building our troops' very own gateway. Putting the world-famous Jamboree picnic tables together was easy. Here's the secret. We supplied the brain work, while the scoutmaster did most of the assembly. What a team. And hey, they turned out pretty good. Soon sub-camps were taking shape. Listen to this, in just 2 days, there were more than 850 troops. That's more than 35,000 scouts and scouters. The Jamboree had become the 7th largest city in Virginia. Fort A.P. Hill wasn't just packed, it was invaded. Like us, every troop has its own legends and traditions. That's what gateways are all about. Check it out. Most of them are pretty neat.
Oten, boten, little doten, itten, bitten, little ditten, ish, biddly, oten, doten, borot, skiditen, nat, and what I and chew.
The opening ceremonies featured keynote speaker Togo West. Not only is he the Secretary of the U.S. Army, he's also an Eagle Scout. Next, Jack Creighton, the president of the Boy Scouts, said a few inspiring words at the podium. Then we got to hear Jerry Radcliffe, the Chief Scout Executive. Then came something that really blew me away, a reenactment of the Commander-in-Chief's Guard of the Continental Army. The Army's Fife and Drum Corps guys looked absolutely real with their wigs and uniforms. Oh, and their 75 caliber smoothbore muskets sounded real too. The Order of the Arrow raised the flags representing each state and territory of the U.S. There were the United States and Boy Scout flags as well.
You know, this Jamboree in 1997 means a heck of a lot to the Boy Scout movement, which is so critical to so many young people in this country. And I think it's a chance for 36,000 young people to come together and have the experience of a lifetime. We want to impact them in a way that they'll always know what Boy Scout values are all about. And when they grow up, they can offer some leadership to other young people that can impact their lives in a very positive and meaningful way.
Come on, go.
Now it's time for some fun. Lots of us were anxious to find out just how physically fit we were, and this was just the place to do it. It's called Action Alley. Get through this tough course, and you know you're in great shape. Later, we went to the confidence course. Staffers said it taught us all about teamwork, communication, and, of course, confidence. I just know I had fun. Are you a no-fear type of guy? then this is for you. But before you tackle some 40 or 50 feet of action-packed adventure, you had to pass this. A grueling 10 minutes of instruction. Just kidding. Actually, it was pretty easy. Next thing you know, you're here at the top of the tower. You could rappel from this baby. It's called a helo-skid. It simulates rappelling from a helicopter. Now that's no fear. We weren't too thrilled about getting up this morning. I wanted just a little more beauty sleep. But hey, out here a guy can get big time hungry no matter how early it is. Now it's time for some thinking guys fun. And this was the stop, here at Pioneering Physics. It got its name because you use simple tools and pioneering skills to do a lot of neat stuff related to physics, like carefully walking up, then down on this primitive A-frame bridge. It's just like the one our forefathers used. Making tracks on a narrow bridge made out of some wood and rope wasn't easy. It's called a monkey bridge. Hey, check out the flags on that guy's hat. This contraption is called the atomic pile. The patrol's getting timed on how fast they can lower a log onto painted discs on the ground. The object of the atomic pile? To save the world, of course. Stepping up and scaling different rope ladders was a little harder than it looks. Ever wondered how the early pioneers built a three-legged milk stool? An important part of making them is shaving the legs just right. This block and tackle demonstration showed us that raising a weight can be easy work if you use the right pulley combination. What's this, you ask? We're swinging on a Pioneer merry-go-round. Next, we got a little lesson in pioneering leverage with this swinging boom derrick. Then we checked out the sights on the signaling and lookout tower. Now this was the coolest thing yet. A water balloon was carefully placed in this holder. Then the catapult was launched. One of the guys across the street learned all about water balloons, especially the part about the water. When you're at the Jamboree, you just gotta go out and buy something. And this is where you do it, the trading post. There were a lot of Jamboree souvenirs here that were just waiting to find a new home. Buying souvenirs was one thing, but this was quite another. It's patch trading, and the Jamboree always means patch trading at its best. Where else can you get all these patches at one place? Some traditions never die, and rain at the Jamboree is definitely one of them. What else is a guy to do but to have a lot of fun? Making our way through the rain, we discovered two giant Quonset huts. They turned out to be the arts and science buildings. Inside, they have a lot of neat things that guys like us have made. Check out these art exhibits and science exhibits. Hey, look at this. Doesn't it remind you of an old Frankenstein movie? Well, once the rain let up, we went to see what these Civil War soldiers were up to. Want to hear something loud? I mean really loud? Then search no further than the daily stage shows and look for Riley's Battery. It's the only Civil War reenactment that can be felt as well as heard.
Fire, my battery! Fire!
Arena shows. They get bigger and better with each Jamboree, and this one wasn't any different. First, you get someone famous to be at the arena show. Well, I'll tell you who it is later. Then you get 35,000 excited scouts and scouters together. Add a few hot air balloons, then let the show begin. The Army's Golden Knight parachute team did a lot of neat tricks. We didn't know when to expect it, but several giant helicopters arrived and landed stage left. It just had to be carrying the president, didn't it? Before we could figure it out, 4 Navy F-14 Tomcats buzzed the arena against a picture-perfect sunset.
The President of the United States of America!
Then President Clinton entered the arena show area. The crowd went wild. Imagine having the nation's chief executive honoring the Boy Scouts of America.
Building community and character is what the Boy Scouts have always been about. So today I ask all of you to help spread the word about doing good turns. All of you here, each in your own way, are future leaders of this country. When you return home from the Jamboree, please encourage your classmates and your friends to join you in committing to community service. If every young person in America would give back to their community in the way you do, just imagine what we could do. And the next time you recite the Scout Oath, I hope you will remember that it's not just your fellow Scouts, your parents, and the people you know well, but your whole nation that is counting on you. We need you to remain focused on the strong values you learned in scouting, to remember that character counts and service counts. We need you if we're going to build our communities and bring our people together across all the lines that divide us. We need you if we're going to lead our country into the 21st century, still the world's strongest force for peace and freedom and democracy and prosperity. We need you if we're going to have a country where every person, without regard to race or station in life, who is responsible enough to work for it, can live out his or her dreams. We need you to keep this country coming together and coming ever closer to the ideals on which we were founded, that we are one nation under God, all created equal. We have to work harder and harder and harder to build that one America, strong and united and good. Over 150 years ago, the astute French observer Alexis de Tocqueville said, "America is great because America is good." You help to keep America good, and I know you will throughout your lives. Thank you for what you do, thank you for what you are, and thank you for what you will become. Good luck, and God bless you all.
Then the president received the Distinguished Silver Buffalo Award. The president shakes hands with people every day, but this is above and beyond the call of duty. What an awesome way to end a terrific day. We stayed up late, but that didn't keep us from getting up at sunrise. The fishing was great. They stocked over 25,000 bass, bluegill, channel catfish, and other lunkers at Fish Hook Lake. The Boy Scouts at Brownsea Island created a neat little piece of Boy Scout history. They took you 90 years back in time when Lord Baden-Powell had his first Boy Scout campout. What did they do back then? I'm glad you asked. First, we got a detailed lesson all about the British flag. You better not goof this up when you try it. You might mess up a finger or two. It's called the Robin Hood drill. Don't be in too much of a hurry. The guys at Brownsea Island taught us how to use semaphore flags and how to be patient. This is how the British played basketball way back in 1907. Hey, Michael Jordan, eat your heart out. Then the guys showed us Kim's game. It really tested our memory. This is a life-saving drill called flinging the squiler, or something like that. We found out that even tug-of-wars were popular back then. Ever wondered what it would be like to be physically challenged? Welcome to Disability Awareness. Try playing golf with your eyes closed. Or with only one arm. Or beeper baseball. Or wheelchair basketball. This guy's Doug Hare, a quadriplegic who has more than 220 gold medals. He showed everyone that adversity didn't stop him. The Jamboree Scout Band played at the Daily Stage Show. Hey, they're pretty good. The Estes Rocket Company made sure there were plenty of rockets around. K2BSA, the Jamboree's official radio station, pulled out all the stops. They talked to every state in nearly every country. Scouts even linked to the Russian space station Mir.
This is K2BSA at the National Scout Jamboree.
At pioneering games, we saw a guy who really knew how to handle a bullwhip. He made it look easy. Then it was our turn. This isn't a party or anything. We're supposed to use a bullwhip to pop these balloons. Hey, this stuff's pretty easy. The guy who showed us how to use a bullwhip also branded a lot of different things, like these hiking boots. That looks slick. Some scouts could throw a long knife like a real pioneer. Others needed just a little more practice. Next came a real adventure no scout will forget. It's called black powder. First we got a little instruction as we loaded our .50 caliber rifles. Then, when everything was ready, we fired at some targets. Hey, not bad. Ever wondered what it's like to throw a tomahawk? With just a little coaching, you could throw one of these just like a real frontiersman. A lot of scouts got a taste of what it's like to be in a real rodeo. Only the landings were a lot softer. Remember Brownsea Island? Well, this is America's version. It was pretty interesting learning about the Silver Bay experiment, the first scout camp in the United States. Did you know that scouts were called tribes back then? Later, it was time to phone home. You know, your folks gotta know how you're doing, and you need to catch up on the latest news. The adults at this trading post were very entertaining. Want to see how well you can run? Then try this. It's a 5K run that'll test your endurance to the limit. Are you ready for this? This exhibit brought home just how much water we use just doing our normal daily stuff. When we emptied these buckets, we found out we used a ton of water. Like 25 gallons each day for each of us just to use the toilet, and 100 gallons to take a shower. And that doesn't even count stuff like washing your hands or brushing your teeth. Now this is one ferocious-looking bear. Lucky for us, he's stuffed. Then we got eye-to-eye with a real live eagle. It was pretty neat seeing one in real life, real close. We found out about snakes the old-fashioned way, by handling them. By the way, this is not for the faint-hearted. I can say one thing about this owl. Up close, he really does look smart. I didn't know what this guy was up to. I only knew it was about as ugly as my older brother. This scout is really talented. He's playing 2 flutes out of his nose, and he's good. Everyone wanted to tell the folks back home what it was like at the Jamboree. That's where hometown news came in. Lots of scouts sent stories home to newspapers, radio, and TV stations. After learning how to use a snorkel, fins, and mask, we were anxious to try out our new underwater skills. Next came the coolest experience of all. It's scuba diving, and it's outrageous. After the scuba folks checked us out, we were diving for Jamboree treasures. It kind of made me feel like Aquaman or something. We all know how great Boys Life magazine is. Well, their exhibits lived up to their reputation. This is the U.S. Customs drug intervention weapon. With a top speed of 75 miles per hour, the folks at U.S. Customs showed off their need for speed. Then we took a look up at a really huge totem pole. Speaking of totem poles, it takes a lot of tools and a lot of time to build a totem pole. This one is being built for Boys Life magazine to go to their office at the national headquarters. What would any Boys Life exhibit be without Pedro? Everybody's saying no to drugs, so we pledged it by writing our names on this wall. The U.S. Coast Guard had a neat little ride for us, only we supplied the muscle power. This seaman never got tied up. He knew everything there is to know about knots. The National Exhibits people asked the Korean scouts to do a traditional folk dance. It looked pretty fun, so it wasn't long before a bunch of scouts joined in. Then a group of scouts from the Dominican Republic entertained everyone with a traditional scouting song. What guy doesn't like a great ride? You can have a concept car just like this for a mere $47,000. Or how about this for getting around town in a hurry? A NASCAR racer driven by the Richard Petty team. This Super Coupe was just that, super. A quarter-mile ET, a hot 9.8 seconds at 135 miles per hour. Scouting has always been close to Native American stuff, so I was pretty impressed when I saw the Order of the Arrow guys doing a war dance to the beat of authentic Native American music and wearing traditional Indian costumes. It was incredible. The Oa's Indian Village had a lot of other neat things going on, like some really neat-looking crafts. Lots of scouts lined up for a fun bit of archery. Others took it a lot more seriously. I've shot marksman pellet guns before, so it was easy for me to aim and fire. Bullseye. Shooting trap's a little more serious, because blasting a piece of clay into a million pieces isn't easy when you're trying to hold up a large chunk of heavy metal, although some scouts make it look that way.
Cool. Good shot. All right.
In the bikathlon, we were timed as we pedaled our mountain bikes on a cross-country trail. Stopping at a station to shoot an air rifle at 5 little red targets. Then continuing the mountain bike trek to the finish.
Go. Yikes!
Try finding someplace like this at home. It's a BMX motocross. It's bike riding at its finest. We saw some scouts giving us a free concert on their homemade drums.
The Jamboree is jugular.
Jamboree is one of a kind.
Jamboree is intense. Jamboree is medieval.
Jamboree is totally tubular.
Jamboree has tons of patches.
Jamboree is all. Jamboree is jumping. Jamboree is bodacious.
The Jamboree is Olympic. The Jamboree
In your face. The Jamboree is a gas.
And Jamboree is muy bueno. Jamboree is clean.
Jamboree is tough for the pump.
Holy cow, what a jamboree!
Buckets of water, lots of buckets of water, 50 to be exact. 26,000 scouts were trying to break the Guinness Book of World Records, set for the world's longest bucket brigade. 83 gallons must be passed in the buckets along an 8.5-mile course to break the record. It's serious stuff. But some scouts found the time to goof off just a little. While others just clowned around. Now here's a place I've been wanting to see for a long time. The Merit Badge Midway. Inside you could earn or partially earn all kinds of merit badges. Like insect study, and leather work, and we were eager to hear more about Indian lore and to see some stuff made by real American Indians. We even learned how to make arrowheads. Man, the Order of the Arrow guys did it again, this time with their Odyssey of the Law production. Just what is Odyssey of the Law? It's sort of an interactive morality play that's rooted in the principles of the Scout Law.
Remember that star you have to steer by. The Scout Law, as the Odyssey of your life continues.
After the interactive part of the program, it was an awesome laser show, complete with a soundtrack of inspirational hits. Later, it was time for the final arena show. Guys with these patrol flags are leading the way in. Pretty colorful to watch, huh? As we started to sit down, we got more and more excited. It takes more than 2 hours to fill the bowl up with 35,000 people. There was some pretty good music playing, so some scouts started dancing. I don't know what to call this. All I know is you'd have to be pretty excited to do it in front of 35,000 people. I've always been a Star Trek fan, so I really got blown away when I saw 2 Klingons in the crowd. Beam me up, Scotty. It seems lots of scouts were having lots of fun. Then 2 awesome F-15s soared overhead. If those jets were guitar amplifiers, they'd be on 12. Soon the stage lights came up and it began. For the better part of the evening, Louise Mandrell and her band performed, and I mean well. She's really neat.
I've waited all day to get out on the stage. Not people turned up on in a party place. This world has its problems. Just pick up the paper or turn on the evening news. The way that it looks, we'll never make it. But I've got some good news for you. There's a place where there's hope for all of us, and it's right here in front of our eyes. Look in the heart of the scouts for those old-fashioned values we keep talking about. Trustworthy and loyal, helpful and brave, strong in body and mind. You'll find them all there, I don't have a doubt, deep in the heart of the scout.
Later, the traditional candle lighting ceremony began, and the symbol of scouting quickly spread across the entire arena. It was unbelievable. Then came the finale. A brilliant fireworks display capped the evening off. What a great way to end a really neat show. A scout is reverent, so the staff at the Jamboree made sure that every faith was represented with some kind of religious program. For some, it was a time for spiritual learning and worship. Then it was time to celebrate a bar mitzvah, a Jewish boy's entering into manhood. It was a long walk to some religious services, but that only encouraged more scouts and scouters to attend. Worship services were packed, like this Catholic Mass attended by about 8,000 scouts. It featured Cardinal William Keeler, the Archbishop of Baltimore. Did you know he's an Eagle Scout?
I'm happy to be with brother scouters and scouts as now we join in prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Peace be with you. And also with you.
There were a lot of people here, too. The crowd hung on every word at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints services. It's not hard to figure out why when you discovered that Mr. Monson, first counselor in the first presidency of the church, led the congregation. Afterwards, it was time for an aquatic adventure. First stop, windsurfing. We made the best out of it, even if the winds didn't want to cooperate. Hey, hold the presses. These guys are doing pretty good. From across the water, we could see that scouts were getting ready for a kayak blowout. These guys made maneuvering a kayak around a tricky course look pretty easy. Here's something that takes a ton of coordination. It's called crew rowing. With a little bit of instruction and familiarization with the controls, you're on your way to Olympic-style rowing in a sleek, lightweight shell. All scouts who pride themselves on how they handle a canoe ought to try this out. It's called canoe slalom. Turning's a bear. You get up to speed using a ton of muscle power. Then it's time to turn again. These guys are really good at it. Next on the agenda was canoe sprint. I always thought that canoeing was pretty easy, but canoe sprint quickly changed my thinking. We got timed as we raced our canoes through a vicious obstacle course. It looks like the leaders are all piling up in front of us. These guys paddled hard and finished with a great time. Next, it was time for some wet fun. It's called raft encounter. It's when scouts in one raft challenge others to a fun-filled bump and splash fest. It was day 9 of the Jamboree, and it was time to pack up our tents. Nine days of non-stop adventure made all of us pretty tired. But most of us had to get ready for the long ride home. It was kind of sad because once we were on the bus and headed for home, we knew the Jamboree would be history. You know what makes me feel a whole lot better, though? Knowing that each scout has a lifetime of some pretty awesome memories. Now that I think about it, maybe that's what character counts, be prepared for the 21st century means. Whew. Did I just say all of that? Hey, I gotta go catch some Z's, guys. Later.
Hi, I'm Jerry Ratcliffe, and I'm certainly pleased to be at this 60th anniversary Jamboree of the Boy Scouts of America. For many scouts, the Jamboree is the single most significant event of their scouting experience. And even after the tents come down, the buses roll away, you'll leave with memories of friendships that will last a lifetime. I hope that you remember from President Clinton's message to us at the opening arena show how important it is as he encouraged us to be prepared to lead this nation into the 21st century. And certainly, we want to always remind ourselves to live by the values that are in our Scout Oath and Scout Law. Duty to God, duty to country, duty to others, and duty to self. The 1997 National Scout Jamboree was a tremendous event. I hope that this Boys Life souvenir video will help you relive those experiences again and again. And I'd like to wish to you the very best for good scouting.